Everyone loves a good underdog story. Think about Rudy, Karate Kid, Rocky. It's the same story of someone coming from less than nothing and rising to soaring heights. Sometimes these underdogs see such massive success that we truly forget where they came from. A classic case is Jeff Bezos. As he's closing in on a $200 billion net worth, it's easy to sit back and marvel at all his wealth and think about how it surely just flowed to him like milk and honey. Well, not so fast. When you hear how Bezos had to grind it out in the trenches building what has become one of the most successful businesses in history, they discover that you're not cut out for such a task, regardless of the billions of dollars at the end of the tunnel. So without further ado, here's how Jeff Bezos constructed the behemoth that is Amazon. Early life. Jeff was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to a 17-year-old high school student and a bike shop owner in 1964. The young mother and father were married only a short time, and when the little entrepreneur-to-be was only 4 years old, his then-20s mother married a Cuban immigrant named Miguel Bezos, thus giving Jeff the infamous last name we all know. Coming from a line of sharp scientists and engineers, Bezos took an interest in technology at a young age, even rigging his own alarm to prevent unwanted siblings from wandering into his room. Though he was a valedictorian of his class and a National Merit Scholar, Bezos wasn't above working the grill at McDonald's during his high school years. Education and early business career. Jeff attended Princeton University and graduated with a 4.2 GPA and a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. While studying in the Ivy Leagues, Bezos also happened to be Princeton's chapter president of Students for the Exploration and Development of Space, an interest that he had mentioned in his valedictorian speech in high school. Post-college, Bezos rocketed to the top of every company he worked for. He was quickly promoted to head of development and director of customer service of the startup fintech after turning down offers from several big-name companies right out of school. Then he was a product manager at Bankers Trust, and at the ripe old age of 30 became D.E. Shaw's fourth senior vice president. What we're getting at here is that Jeff Bezos was destined for a cushy career in a startup and hedge fund worlds. He could have ridden out pocketing huge paychecks and returning with a golden watch for several. But during a cross-country drive, Bezos wrote the business plan for an online bookstore named after the Amazon River in South America. Little did we know just how far beyond books Jeff would go. Amazon's early days. So in 1993, Jeff took the plunge and left his job at D.E. Shaw to begin his epic venture with a $300,000 investment from his parents. He warned many of the early investors that more than likely the company would fail. In these early days, a bell would ring in the Amazon office every time a customer placed an order. But within a month, they had already sold books to people in all 50 states and obviously had to lose the bell. Can you imagine that bell today? One of their office spaces included the Bezos' garage, with Amazon servers sucking up so much electricity, Jeff and his wife couldn't even run a hairdryer without throwing a breaker. Like any budding business, Amazon had to scrape and scrunch to keep afloat. One of their book distributors got the short end of the stick when Amazon found a way around their 10-book minimum. We would laugh at it now, but there was a time when Amazon simply didn't need to inventory 10 copies of the same book. So instead, they started ordering 1 copy of the book they needed to stock and 9 copies of some obscure book about lichens that they knew would always be out of stock because who would buy a book about lichens? And in maybe what is the ultimate irony of ironies, Bezos held some of his early meetings in none other than a Barnes & Noble. It wasn't just Bezos who was hustling to make the business work. Jeff drove his employees hard, requiring them to work tirelessly long hours. When asked about work-life balance, he would simply scoff at the very term and inform them that they were not working for Amazon in order to enjoy their life. The story goes that one employee was working 60 hours a week at a minimum, had been biking to and from work early in the morning and late at night for so long that he forgot he even owned a car, which was parked near his apartment. Working for Bezos meant there was simply no time for reading your personal mail, but when an employee finally got around to it, he would find several parking tickets, a notice that his station wagon had been towed, and a notice that the car had been sold at auction all at the same time. But with all this work came great success as their sales continued to climb, and Bezos took the company public and began raising large sums of money, which he used to aggressively buy up small competitors to clear the way for Amazon to become a global force. Bezos also had to take huge risks on his way to success, at one point borrowing as much as $2 billion as Amazon's cash reserves dipped. The company flirted with bankruptcy but eventually recovered as they marketed their web services, online music, and video, and expanded into other consumer goods, ultimately releasing the blockbuster product, Amazon Kindle. But of all these things, a little-known fact is that Amazon's web services are what really makes the Benjamins. For example, in 2013, Amazon signed a $600 million contract with the CIA for web services. Bezos has often been criticized for his treatment of employees, and as we've seen already, a lot of this is justified. His success has largely come from insane customer satisfaction. One of the techniques Bezos uses to ensure that his customers are overwhelmingly satisfied is the question mark email. If an employee gets an email from Bezos with only a question mark in the subject line, they know there is a short amount of time to explain the issue Jeff has noticed and to rectify it completely, or they'll be packing up their things and getting out. Perhaps not the greatest thing for employee morale, but it's hard to argue with the extreme amount of success and wealth this mentality is brought to Amazon and to Jeff Bezos. He has the same mentality with those contracted to work with Amazon. Take the post office, for instance. When they let thousands of Christmas presents packaged by Amazon sit in warehouses on Christmas Eve, Bezos said never again and began constructing the fleet of Amazon delivery vehicles you see driving all over neighborhoods today. So now you know how this once unnoticed young kid became the richest man in the world and built a company that will go down as a true titan of industry. Through their relentless commitment to customers and an extreme amount of work ethic and risk-taking, Amazon's success is truly an amazing example of the American dream. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and like to see more amazing stuff just like this, head on over to Terrific Tens and check out some of the great content we have just waiting to be binge-watched. And while you're there, hit subscribe so you'll be up to date on the new and exciting videos we have coming out on the regular. Until next time, go build your empire.